Hello everybody, Paula here from Craftables, and I'm just coming with our card that we've done from class today. So this one is a Feminine Grunge type of card. There's a bit of stitching on there, a little bit of stamping, painting, a little bit of lots of things on there. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all I've cut down my black cardstock here. And I've made that into my card, and I've just cut this one a little bit smaller there. So this one here, I'm actually going to do paint some stripes on there. So just going to put some scrap paper down, and I've just got normal acrylic paint that is just with a small thin brush there, and I'm just going to do some painted lines along there. So they do not need to be perfect, and they don't need to be straight. The more grungier the better. So even if you get bits that are just not coming out very well, don't worry about that. So that's the whole idea of grunge, is just to make not perfect, which is really good for some of us that are not good at not trying to do perfect. So this is quite a good thing for us to do. Okay, so we just keep going till we get down to the bottom there. And then while this is drying, I will go on and show you the rest of the card. So just left it like that. So all I've done is just painted some really random sort of lines there. So don't worry about not getting them straight or nice or anything. Alright, so the next part we're going to do is I've got a piece of pattern paper here. So I've cut it to the right size so that when I pop it on there, it's going to cover over my black stripes. And down this right hand side we're just going to rip, so just give it a little bit of a rip all the way down that right hand side. That's all there is to it. So that piece there will then go onto this piece here, and I'm just going to pop it right up against the edge there, so that all you can see is the stripes on the right and a little bit of pink pattern paper there. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I've gone ahead and I've cut some other bits out. So I've cut this one out. This bit that I'm doing now is going to be this piece here. So while I'm waiting for my paint to dry, I'm just going to pop those down. So I'm going to put the white piece, which is a little bit smaller than my black, onto my black piece there. So I've made it about 1/4 inch smaller around the whole black piece there. And then I've got a bit of leftover pink paper, and I'm just going to make that one about 1/4 inch smaller as well, and just pop that one down on the top there. So that's going to be where we put our thank you. So what I've done is I've stamped with my alphabet stamp, and I've stamped out some of these letters. So I wanted to put thank you on my card there, so I've gone ahead and cut those out, and I'm just going to stick those down to here. So I'm just using a little bit of glue, and I'm just going to stick them along the top here and just down the side there, because we want our flower to go in this bottom right hand corner. Alright, so I've finished doing that. So now I've got my words up in the top, along the top and on the left side there. So now I've got a bit of space here to put my flower when I'm ready to do that. Alright, so the other piece that I wanted to show you is this is a mulberry paper, so like a handmade sort of mulberry paper there. So what this does is it's got a lot of fibre in it. So I wanted to make my edges a little bit fluffy. So to do that, I've just got a little bit of water in a cup, and I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm just going to wet along the edge that I want to rip down the side and grunge it up a little bit. So I've got it quite wet because it is a little bit tricky to do one side. So one side where the grain's going the wrong way is going to be the harder side to rip. So I'm just going to go around with the water on all 4 sides, and I'm just going to let that soak in for a moment, and then hopefully it'll be a bit easier to rip. So one side will be easy to rip because the fibres are going the way that you're ripping, and the other side might be a bit tougher to rip there. Okay, so that's gone nice and fluffy around the edges there. I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera. But we're just going to pop that aside to dry from the water as well. So hopefully now, sorry, I've just got to grab a tissue. Got a bit of water there that we don't want to get onto our card. Okay. Alright, so this should be fairly dry now, so I'm just going to pop this onto the left hand side of my card there. Alright, so down right along the edge of that left hand side. Here we go. Alright, so we've just got the white cardstock with the stripes, and then we've also got that pink stuff on the left there. Now on my original card, I just wanted to give it a bit more of a grungy look, so what I've done is I've painted around the rim of a little shot glass with the black paint, and then I've just stamped it onto my card there. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint around the rim of this little glass here. So you do need quite a bit of ink on there, paint on there. And if it doesn't stamp very well in some places, that's all good, because that's the part of the grunge as well. Alright, so just bring my scrap paper back in, and I'm just going to stamp over in this corner here a little bit. There we go. So see how part of it hasn't come out? That's actually exactly what we want, so don't worry about that if that happens. And I'm just going to put more paint around the rim there. And then I'm just going to off-center it a little bit so that we have a little bit of a different look there. There we go. So it looks a little bit like cup rings. So I'm just going to do a couple more down in this left-hand corner there. So a bit more paint on. So these are just plastic shot glasses I got from the $2 shop. So you could grab those anywhere if you wanted to do this technique. There we go. And the one last one, a bit more paint on there. And I'm just going to come maybe up that way a wee bit. Here we go. So that is a part of the grunge look there. So if you like that look and you don't have a stamp with that sort of inking or that like cup mark there, then that's a really good easy way of doing it. Alright, so this piece can now go onto the front of my card there. So I'm just going to be careful not to smudge that black paint while it's drying. You can use a heat gun to dry it off if you like to. That makes it much quicker, and just be careful not to make it bubble. So I'm just going to have to try and be a bit careful with it here. Okay. Alright, so now that we've got that bit there, I'm now going to put a bit of tape just down this left-hand side, this right-hand side, just where the ripping is, and I'm just going to put a little bit of lace down there. So I'm just popping my tape on. And I'm just going to cut my lace down a little bit because I don't really want all that much there. And I'm just going to pop it down that side there. Okay, so now this piece here that we did earlier is now going to go in the center like that. So because this is a handmade paper and it's very see-through, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on the back in the middle just to hold it in place. And I'm not going around the outside because otherwise you will see the tape around there. And because we're putting something else on top of it, you're not going to see this tape in the center. Okay, so that one just goes in the center there. And then this piece here that we did just before, I'm now going to stick that right in the middle there. So I might bring it up a bit so you can see a bit more of this fluffy stuff down the bottom. Yep, right way up might be good. There we go. So you can still see, you know, lots of little bits of your grungy look there, and you've got a bit of layering with your handmade paper and mulberry paper there. And now I'm just going to bring this in, and I'm just going to, I've just cut out this flower here, and I'm just going to pop it down in that corner, but it is a little bit bigger than I wanted, so I'm actually going to cut those off on the edge there and get rid of those leaves. So don't forget, you can cut up the flowers to make it look what you want it to look like. And then I'm just going to pop that on there. Here we go. Alright, so that's really cool. Now what I have also forgotten to show you is I've done a bit of stitching on this one. So I've done a bit of stitching up in this corner there, and I've done them sort of a little bit off center and a little bit there and then a little bit there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try and pull this off and I'm going to do my stitching now. So sorry about that, guys. We need to actually do the stitching before we stick this down. This is a good way of This is why I use tape so that I can pull it off if I need to. So we're just going to start from the bottom, and I'm just going to poke my needle up through there, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of tape over this piece so that it doesn't pull through. There we go. So this one's going to go up and down. I'm just doing them a little bit off center too, because I don't want them all to be perfectly straight. Okay, so now we can pop that onto the front of our card there. If you have already stuck that down onto your card, don't worry, you can actually stitch through both layers there. So I'd use a pokey tool, so which one of these awls here, just poke a few holes, and you can actually go through the pink and the black, because this piece will be covered up on the inside there as well. So sorry about that. So we've done our stitching, we've done our painting stripes, we've done the cup painting, we put our flower on there, and our last thing I want to put on is our little sequins. So I'm just going to sort of go around where there's a few little gaps and put a bit of glue on there and just put my sequins in. If you've got some little black bling or something, that would be fine as well. Come here. Here we go. There. Down there, and I'm just going to put a couple down the bottom here as well. Here we go. Okay, so that's our card. Now on the inside of your card, you're very welcome to pop a piece of white copy paper in there. So if you have done your stitching on the outside of this, then just stick that one down over the top so that you can't see any of that stitching through that side. And that's where you can do your stamping or your writing or anything in there. So that's our card for the week, and I hope you give it a try, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.